Hello, everyone. I am Scott Silverman, co-founder of CommerceNext. We are a community event series and conference for marketers at retail and DTC brands. On behalf of my co-founders, Veronica Sonsev and Alan Dick, I'd like to welcome you all to our weekly webinar. The topic for today is the rise of content marketing. We'll talk about why it's rising and some related topics such as influencers and the role of publishers. I want to say early on that this is a live event. We'll be taking your questions, so feel free to load them up, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. And also, just because it is a live event, sometimes things go a little different than planned, so just keep that in mind. I have a few thank yous I want to give before we get started here. The first is I just want to thank all of today's speakers. We have a great panel. I'm really excited to moderate this conversation. With us today is Kelley Coleman, Executive Director of E-commerce at Tarte Cosmetics, Adriana Fudala, VP of Americas Marketing at Clarks, Nilla Ali, she's SVP of Commerce at Buzzfeed, and Maura Smith, CMO of Pepperjam. And speaking of Pepperjam, I want to thank them for being our sponsor. And all of our speakers will be getting a gift, thanks to our gifting partner, Loop Commerce, and their product Gift Now. And also 5 lucky attendees that we'll be picking randomly, who are actually listening to the live event, will also get a gift. But sorry, replay listeners, we're not able to accommodate you. And I just want to thank everybody for joining us today and being a part of the conversation. So a few things I wanted to mention that are coming up. Next week, the agenda. So I want to mention some upcoming events. I have a couple housekeeping notes to show you where things are on your screen. Maura from Pepperjam is going to give a presentation on content marketing. We're going to be asking you, the audience, some questions to get your input, and then we'll jump into our panel discussion. So as far as what's coming up, our next webinar is in a few weeks. It's on Wednesday, December 9th, and this will be post Black Friday and Cyber Monday and the weekend, and this will be our Cyber Week recap, lessons learned and advice for 2021. We have folks dialing in for that from DXL Group, Snipes, Jason Goldberg, who from the Jason and Scott Show, Tomas Diaz at FlexEngage, and my co-founder Veronica will be moderating that discussion. We also are kicking off the 2021 with our Marketing Summit series. We are really making a lot of headway on that. We're excited. It'll be 3 consecutive Wednesdays, January 20th, 27th, and February 3rd. It's nearly 20 sessions, more than 40 speakers. There'll be roundtable discussions and a lot more. Some of the themes are leveling up your advertising game, geeking out on data and attribution, and we'll be releasing the full agenda as we get closer to that. And lastly, I just wanted to remind everyone that if you want to stay up to date on what's coming up, upcoming events, webinars, and other activities, we recently redesigned our website to make it easier to find all that information. If you go to CommerceNext.com, you can easily, hopefully, find everything that you're looking for. So just a couple housekeeping notes. So first, if you miss anything, don't worry about it. We're recording the webinar. We'll have it available tomorrow. And as far as where things are on the screen that are important, the first is I mentioned that we are live and we're taking questions. So you'll see the Q&A area on that upper right, where you can then go down below and enter your questions. If you want, you can go ahead and upvote questions that you wrote or others wrote, and that'll help prioritize the questions that we ask on the webinar. And there are some handouts, the presentation and an ebook from Pepperjam in the handouts area. So make sure if you want a copy of those, you can easily download them. And if you're listening on the replay and you go to that bottom right with the little disc icon, you'll be able to get the handouts from there, as well as see the answers to the polling questions. So with that, I would like to ask Maura from Pepperjam to join our webinar and walk through some thoughts she has on content marketing.
Cool. Thank you so much, Scott. Hi, everyone. Welcome today to today's presentation, The Rise of Content Marketing. For the presentation, really what we've put together is a design to help give you an understanding of the role that content plays within affiliate marketing, and also give you some data-driven views and guidance to show how content has evolved to become a key contributor within the channel. As Scott said, my name is Maura Smith. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Pepperjam. If you're unfamiliar with Pepperjam, we are a performance marketing solutions provider powering growth for marketers who are seeking a scaled alternative to their primary sales and marketing channels. Our affiliate marketing lifecycle platform, Ascend, delivers a fully integrated partner discovery, recruitment, tracking, payment, and brand safety solution. Additionally, our platform enables marketers like yourself to access a limitless ecosystem of publishers, including access to over 250,000 influencers on a pay-for-outcome basis. So I'm excited to talk to you today about the shifting affiliate landscape and the role that content plays within this channel. Compared to other digital channels, affiliate's really unique. It offers versatility, unlike other forms of digital, just purely due to the breadth of marketing types that it spans. From review sites to paid search, content, savings destinations, it really runs the gamut. Affiliate is also very attractive to marketers due to its pay-for-performance model and the high return on ad spend that it tends to deliver. However, it's often viewed solely as a last-click channel, primarily because of this pay-for-performance model that it employs. To give you a little bit of context, from a historical perspective, this last-click model and affiliate really proliferated the rise of coupon and cashback partners who were often the final step in the customer conversion journey. And in turn, these were the partner types that became the primary drivers within the channel because they tended to be the only partner types that could offer the scale and volume that marketers so desired. So they really began to dominate the channel, and that's where this marketers started to associate affiliate with being a last-click vehicle. And in time, what we found was that brands began to desire more from the affiliate channel. They had concerns about the incrementality that coupon and cashback partners were driving. They really wanted to find partners that could help them drive new customer acquisition, which was the case with content partners. However, the challenge here was that the last-click model didn't accommodate content partners because they tended to live in the introductory or discovery stages of the conversion journey. Thankfully, technology evolved and more sophisticated attribution tools gave brands greater control and options to reward and compensate partners, particularly content partners, based on their role in the customer journey. When this happened, what we saw was content publishers began to turn more to affiliate as a monetization tool. And it really ran the gamut. There was traditional publishing houses like Condé Nast and Meredith who began to embrace affiliate, as well as influencers who started to leverage the channel as a proving or training ground of sorts. So while the channel is still viewed by many marketers as last click, there's definitely been a visible shift, which is what I'm here to show you today based on the data that Pepperjam has put together for this presentation. What I'd like to say as it relates to the data is that in 2020, there's definitely been, COVID has definitely accelerated the pace of e-commerce activity, as we all know. And affiliate, in turn, has benefited in some way, shape, or form from this e-commerce lift. However, when we dig into the data, what we find is that there are signals at the partner category level that highlight that the affiliate channel is moving away from a last-click model and definitely beginning to encompass more top-of-funnel acquisition activity. So before we dig into the data, I'd like to just set the stage to give you some indication of the partner category trends I'll be showing you on the subsequent slides. And so really what we've done here is break in partners from the Ascend platform down into 4 primary groupings that we use to compare performance in 2020. So we have coupon and value proposition, which is comprised of publishers like Retail Me Not and Honey, loyalty and cash back, which incentivize consumers to make purchases and to receive cash back or some other incentive like points. And then we have content, which is comprised of influencers and different news destinations that publish content on the regular, like Buzzfeed, who you'll hear from later on the panel. And then finally, an other category, which comprises publisher types like paid search and remarketing publishers and so on and so forth. So we're going to jump into the data here. But before I do, I just wanted to set the stage and let you know the time periods that we've utilized to measure performance across these partner category types is H1 2020 compared to H1 2019. That's what we use from a comparative period to really understand what growth looks like on a year-on-year basis. So let's dive right in here. Okay, first, when we evaluated partner performance, what we did was started by looking at revenue. When we look at revenue across the Ascend platform for H1 2020, what we saw is that overall, we experienced nearly 30% revenue growth year on year over the same time period in 2019. However, what was interesting and what stuck out to us was that content as a partner category type is growing the fastest. If you look on the chart on the left, what you'll see is that through H1 of 2020, content partners had year-on-year revenue growth of 64%, which was far greater than any other partner type that we reviewed. If you flip over to the right graph, what you'll see is a trended view, which shows the higher growth that content publishers generated compared to other partner category types over the entirety of H1 in 2020. The revenue growth is primarily due to 2 things. Higher demand and higher supply. From a demand perspective, during COVID, there was definitely an investment from brands who turned to content partners as a means to attract new customers and protect their margins. For many advertisers, COVID was definitely a catalyst for content partners to become more of a mainstay within their affiliate program. From a supply perspective, COVID has also caused content partners to look for more revenue streams to diversify their own income. They've subsequently started to join affiliate platforms and networks like Pepperjam. Interestingly enough, content partners are not only growing their revenue year over year, but their share of revenue as a contributing piece of the pie is also growing by leaps and bounds. If we simply look at the first half of 2020 compared to the same time period in 2019, content share of revenue contribution has grown by 27% year over year, whereas partner category types like loyalty have seen a decrease in their revenue share by 14% for the same time period. Coupon, their share of revenue has increased slightly, but experienced nothing like the gains that content partners on the Ascend platform have exhibited. This is an important part to highlight because it's indicative of the shifting affiliate landscape. Brands have this desire to derive more value from content partners and rely less so on the traditionally known last click partners. But looking at revenue on its own is not simply enough. We need to dig deeper to understand what's driving revenue growth and the greater shares of revenue that we're seeing for content partners. What we do at Pepperjam is look at a simple equation for revenue, which is revenue is the combination of clicks times average order value times conversion rate. And this enables us to dig deeper to understand what's driving revenue increases by partner category. Here, what we've observed, if you look on the left-hand side, is that content outpaces all other partner category types in terms of click and conversion rate growth. The conversion rate growth is definitely a signal that the content partners' messaging is resonating with consumers. And this makes sense because content partners are typically viewed as a more trusted source of information for consumers who are seeking product recommendations and reviews, and that's reflected in the conversion rate growth here. If you look on the right-hand side, what you'll see is the growth in share of clicks from content partners grew from 2019 to 2020 from 38% of the share of clicks across the overall mix to 44%. This is definitely both indicative of an increased traffic from existing content partners on the Ascend platform, but it's also due to the introduction of new content partners that have joined the Ascend platform in 2020. Okay, so now we want to ask ourselves, well, why are content partners driving more traffic compared to other publisher types? What's happening here? So here we start to explore what is driving traffic growth for content partners. And again, presumably there's been traffic increases just due to the amount of time that consumers have spent online this year with COVID and stay-at-home orders and whatnot. But there are other data points that indicate that there are other variables that are helping to grow content partner share of traffic. First and foremost, we have seen an increase on the number of content and social media partners signing up to Pepperjam's Ascend platform. If you look on the left-hand chart, this will give you an idea of the growth of partner applications to our platform by publisher type. And while our application growth has been up year over year in general, there's definitely been far more growth for content and social media influencers. So what we have found based on our research is that as affiliate starts to rise in prominence as a monetization vehicle, these content and social media partners have turned to affiliate as another monetization source. I think this was especially true after COVID hit the US initially, and these publishers were quickly looking for ways in which they could diversify their own revenue streams. The other piece is when it comes to these partner signups in April, if you're familiar with the affiliate channel, there was an influx of partners because Amazon made significant and sweeping commission cuts to its associates program. And so in April, we started to see greater gains in content publishers who were looking to identify new revenue sources like Pepperjam. And on the right here, while the content partner supply is up and brands are starting to realize the increases that they're driving year over year for revenue and traffic, they are responding by offering increased commission rates for content partners. So on the right, what you'll see is that for the time period measured, commission rates are down for all partner types except for content, which is up 11% year over year. It also occupies the highest commission rate on average of 10.6%. So here we take a deeper view into the commission rate observation across partner types. We know that brands are receiving value from customers acquired through content, and so they're therefore increasing commission rates to this group. But in terms of the share of partner commissions by publisher type, what we saw year over year is that content share of commission grew from 24% to 35% in H1 of 2020. It's now the category of partners that has the highest share of spend and has actually stolen share away from loyalty and also coupon to a certain degree. On the right, you'll see a trended view of the partner commission growth year over year by publisher type. Content is the purple line here, which obviously has the greatest growth from a year over year perspective. On average for H1, content partners commission grew 82% year over year. And months like April and May saw the most significant gains, topping 123% growth during those months. So you might be wondering, why are brands willing to pay more for content publishers or partners? It may be obvious, but there's two reasons. One, brands need marketing channels that are going to enable them to acquire new customers. And content partners are bringing in significantly more revenue from new customers compared to that of any other partner category. If you look at the chart here, you'll see a trended view of new customer acquisition rates by partner category type. With June, at the end of June 2020, we saw that the content partners brought in nearly 60% of revenue from new customers. The second reason that brands so desire content partners and are willing to pay more for their performance is because when content partners convert customers, they're doing so typically at a higher profit margin compared to that of other partner categories, because there's no association, or there's a reduced association with the use of coupons and with discounts. So what is the bottom line after we've reviewed this data? The bottom line is that content partners are not only driving traffic and revenue increases year over year, but they're also providing significant new customer acquisition rates for brands, which is resulting in a warranted spend or commission increase with this partner type. So as predicted over 20 years ago, content is definitely king. Okay. Now that I've given you a data-driven view of how content partners are changing the affiliate landscape, I'd love to just talk about how brands can engage with them and move their affiliate program beyond last click, so that you can have a more diverse collection of contributing publisher types within your affiliate program. If you've realized at this point that your affiliate program is not on par with some of the category benchmarks that I've shared, Pepperjam can help. Our approach is definitely first and foremost to assess any current efforts that you have underway and gain an understanding of the publisher composition within your own affiliate program and determine the areas of low-hanging fruit. So this means we'll work to identify current relationships, content specifically, to understand if they're performing up to par or not based on our benchmark data. From there, we'll use the data to identify any opportunities for your brand to partner with content partners who you don't already have a relationship with, which will ultimately open up your brand to new consumer audiences and give you an ability to reach those target audiences that you so desire. Finally, after we have done the evaluation and identified any areas of low-hanging fruit, what we'll do is take all of this information and synthesize it into a strategic plan that you can utilize to ensure that you're elevating content partners to be a key contributor within your affiliate program in 2021. The plan is definitely inclusive of optimization recommendations from an execution perspective, but it's also inclusive of different technology attribution features that you should be enabling so that you can play a greater role in rewarding and compensating content partners who tend to live in these upper funnel stages and were historically handicapped by this last click model. Whether you want our team to handle the execution or do it yourself, our approach is very customer centric and really designed based on your needs. So in any case, if you want us to do the heavy lifting or you want to take the reins, we're here to help you take advantage of the opportunity that content partners can provide in your affiliate program in 2021. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you for all of your time today. We have a great panel coming up. If you're interested in learning more about the role of content partners in affiliate marketing, feel free to reach out to me at msmith@pepperjam.com. Alternatively, you can review any of our resources on pepperjam.com. Scott and team will provide some handouts, as he mentioned, or you can simply scan this QR code right here in the red bubble using your phone and receive our Content is King ebook that you can read at your leisure.
Great. Thanks, Maura. Told a great story of kind of what's going on with these different partners for the first half of 2020 and presumably what's happening now. We've had a bunch of questions come in. Some are specific to some of the data that you're presenting, and we have one of Maura's colleagues that is going to help answer some of those because we do want to get into a nice conversation with the panelists. But the first thing we're going to do now is jump into some instant polls and ask folks kind of what their point of view is on some of these topics. So you'll see, I'm going to launch these in a minute, but you can look in the upper right under polls, and you'll see where you can see the ones that are open or closed and kind of watch them tabulate in real time. So, and then if you're listening on the replay, look on that lower right for that. So the first question that I'm going to launch here is what best describes how do you think your affiliate, those of you that are listening, your program revenue will change in 2021? And so the options are A, your content partners will drive more revenue, B, coupon cashback partners will drive more revenue, or C, the balance between content and coupon/cashback partners will be the same. So let's give everyone a moment to answer that and kind of see what everyone's saying. A bunch of responses so far. It seems overwhelmingly to be favoring content partners. About 75% of you believe that content partners will be generating more revenue for you in 2021. And this is the next question. How do you measure your affiliate program? Is it only the direct sales it generates? Is it direct sales plus brand awareness or brand sentiment that you're associating some value with that? Or is it brand awareness only? So let us know your thoughts on that. All right, I'm going to close this poll, but it looks like it's pretty evenly divided by only the direct sales it generates and direct sales plus brand awareness. So we do have about half, actually more than half of the people on the call are placing some value on the brand sentiment related to affiliate programs, which is interesting. I'm just going to close this one. And our last question is teeing up our webinar for December 9th, where we're going to be looking back on Cyber Week. And we reached out to one of our speakers, Jason Goldberg, known as the Retail Geek, and asked him to predict Cyber Monday 2020 e-commerce. And he says it's going to increase 35.1%. It took him about 5 minutes to get back to me, so he must have been working on that for a while. But what do you all think of Jason's prediction? Is it way high? Is it a bit high? Do you think he nailed it? Do you think it's a bit low, or do you think it's way low? And again, he's predicting 35.1%. So see, people are weighing in, and we'll be able to bring Jason and hold him accountable for his prediction and let him know what everyone thought about his prediction this week. But it looks like about 37% think it's a bit high. 38% thinks he nailed it, which I think he'll be happy to hear. And about 20% think it's a bit low. They're pretty optimistic about growth for next year. So I'm going to close this poll. And now I'd like to ask our Kelley and Nilla to go ahead and join us for the panel, and Adriana as well. And we'll get started with our panel discussion. So, one of the things we're fortunate with this session today is to have Nilla from Buzzfeed and to represent the publisher point of view. And Nilla, you've been running these affiliate programs for large publishers, and you've been at BuzzFeed for about 3.5 years, and you've grown that affiliate business 10x, and you've worked with thousands of brands and retailers. What can you add from the publisher perspective to what Maura presented about content marketing?
Yeah, I think Maura's presentation was spot on and very much the trend I've kind of been witnessing since I've joined the affiliate space, which has been well over 5 years at this stage. To me, I think what really has been driving this acceleration is also the growth of a digitally native audience. So I think speaking as a millennial, and especially as we have an emerging Gen Z audience, which is obviously the largest population yet, those like users are used to buying things through recommendations that they're finding online. That's just like the nature of how they consume content, how they shop. And I think we're seeing more and more of that happening, especially as the social platforms are leaning into this kind of convergence of content and commerce. And I also believe that millennials are kind of primed to shop in that way, given the rapid growth of the influencer space. So I think that occurring plus this ability to better attribute the impact of that content has led to publishers more seriously taking into account what affiliate could mean for advertising partners or affiliate partners, and it's becoming a more meaningful part of our business. I do think there's still a lot of gaps as to what success actually means and how it's measured. I think, unfortunately, exactly as Maura said, because we're hitting the point of the purchasing funnel, typically at the discovery stage, there's a lot of lost attribution and value. It's great to hear that a lot of the panelists do measure brand awareness. Unfortunately, I will say that's oftentimes not necessarily how campaigns are evaluated. There's this like very specific measurement of return on ad spend, and there's an expectation that it should be exactly the same as it has been for, say, a cashback or coupon player. But what we're not accounting for is oftentimes, especially at Buzzfeed, where a lot of our content is consumed on social, someone was passively just browsing through their feed, saw a post, was exposed to a brand. There is a high chance of them converting immediately. Obviously, that's why we have the affiliate business that we do. But I know from personal experience, I oftentimes see a brand over and over again, and it's that frequency of messaging and consistency of seeing them across social that you ultimately convert. And I think until we have more kind of MTA attribution models in place that can accurately measure that, publishers will kind of always be put at a disadvantage. And I do think it's a huge loss for retailers or brands to not consider affiliate as a bigger part of their marketing suite. So I think there's a lot of progress that's been made, and it's really promising to see the data that Maura shared, because I think that's displaying that we're moving in the right direction. But there is still a lot of education that has to work in this space. And I always kind of joke that my team is partially obviously just generating passive revenue by leveraging the tactics that we have to increase performance, but we're also kind of educators of the space of just getting brands and retailers to realize what sort of value could be driven from an affiliate business. And the last thing I'll say, and I'll stop talking, is what's also been interesting is we've kind of now unlocked the ability to scale affiliate. And what I mean by that is working with partners like Facebook. They have something called a limited conversion pixel, where we can actually amplify top performing content towards people who are not only viewing content, but buying things from the posts. So I think as more and more tools like that emerge, content publishers will play an even bigger role, because it is that kind of storytelling that's conveyed through our content that I think is hard to compete with, and for a brand to do authentically on their own. So I think there is going to be this convergence of like affiliate and traditional brand marketing. And there's a sweet spot in the middle that I think the space will really benefit from if we open our way of kind of measuring what success looks like.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on attribution, and I saw that a question come in about that from Scott Abelman, and we're going to get to that in a little bit, Scott. So don't worry about that. But I'd first like to also have Adriana and Kelley introduce themselves. Kelley from Tarte and Adriana from Clark's. Maybe Kelley, if you want to start, but just provide a little bit of context for the role of content marketing at your organization and how that fits into your affiliate programs, just to kind of level set so everyone, kind of understands where you're coming from on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kelley Coleman, Executive Director of E-commerce at Tarte Cosmetics. We are celebrating our 20th year of cruelty-free beauty and skincare. And as Scott mentioned, absolutely, content marketing is really really changed the way that we continue to kind of think about how we plan into our marketing and how we think about it. And so, prior to the pandemic, we were spending, I would say, planning about 2 months in advance into our content plans, into all of our marketing plans across the board. And that really got spun on its end. And we had to really think about being very relevant and conscious of what is happening in the marketplace with our customers. And so that has really had us try to shift into the idea around content marketing and this emotional connection that we need to make with our consumers in our space.
And Adriana, if you could introduce yourself a similar way.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me this afternoon. So I'm Adriana Fudala. I'm VP of Marketing for our Americas region at Clarks. If you're not familiar with Clarks, we are a global brand with almost 200 years of making footwear. Most people know us best for our desert boot and wallaby, but certainly we carry quite a few other styles. And I'd say for us, I completely agree with Kelley and a lot of what Maura said. So for us at Clarks, we see content as a great way to introduce our brand to new consumers. We have a very loyal customer base who knows and loves us. But to expand upon that and grow into some new styles and silhouettes, we really need to find someone who hasn't previously purchased Clarks. And content is also a great way for us to get some style credibility, right? So if we say something stylish, someone might not believe us. But as Nilla and Maura said, when somebody else says it on our behalf, it holds a lot more weight with our consumers.
So I want to jump right into this measurement and attribution question. And I mean, the poll was showing us that about half of the people on the webinar say that they're incorporating brand sentiment or awareness into the way they measure it. Nilla made a comment that while they may be saying that here, they're not necessarily managing their programs that way. But, Kelley and Adriana, could you talk a little bit about, your point of view on the way you're measuring content marketing, content partners? Kelley, you want to start?
Sure. So I think Nilla is spot on. I think definitely we want to be able to consider and focus more on the idea around that brand sentiment and about being able to measure it in that way. But we all have budgets. We all have expenses that we need to attend to. And I think when we think about that return on ad spend and that ROI, a lot of it does sit in that clearly traditional attribution model where we're looking at that last click. We're focusing on making our marketing decisions. And with Tarte, it really does boil down to that return on investment. Obviously, we want to be able to shift that tide and try to think about it in a different way. We're trying to, as Adriana mentioned, acquire new customers. We also have a loyal base as well. And so I think having that opportunity to have a way to measure that awareness in the right way and have that balance is important. But right now it does still sit very traditional in that attribution model and really being able to show that return on investment with what we're advertising.
Yeah, and I'd say for us, just to add on top of what Kelley just said, we look at affiliates as a whole. And so, yes, there's a lot of different publisher types. And thankfully, through our partnership with Pepperjam, we've become really efficient and really know how to, utilize our coupon and deal sites to really continue to drive that return on ad spend for us. So it allows us to take a little bit of budget to, start testing in the content space. And that's where when we look at it holistically, it still shows a really strong and powerful return on ad spend. But we can start to dabble in adding more content partners. And, and I'd say on top of that, we've really worked with not only Pepperjam, but publishers, like working with Nilla to say, how do we find the right mix and something that works for not only the publisher, but for us as a brand. Not all content publishers are created equal. And so it's about finding that right partnership together and then creating some consistency. So not a one and done approach, but coming up with a couple of campaigns so you can really see the effectiveness. And as Nilla said, making sure that, someone continues to see your brand multiple times.
And Maura or Nilla, anything to add or any best practices for how to do this? I mean, have you, I know with things like display, there's PSA tests and things like that, where, that you make some attempts to, measure the brand awareness. But anything you want to add on this that you think the audience should know about?
Sure. I have two thoughts. First and foremost, I think because of affiliates pay for performance model, and a marketer can be stymied really in looking purely at return on ad spend, and it's almost a catch-22 because return on ad spend doesn't contemplate the impression value that the channel is driving. Mm-hmm. So if you were to calculate the earned media value of what affiliate impressions were to offer, that would be a better way to measure the true return on ad spend in contemplating that impression share. Our CEO did a great blog post earlier this year on earned media value and affiliate, if anybody wants to check it out. The second thought that I have is, as it relates to affiliate marketing, traditionally the channel has become sort of, siloed off from other parts of the marketing mix, because legacy affiliate network providers were prevented the data within their platforms and networks from being exported to a brand's reporting source of truth or attribution system. So that, in effect, created a situation where the affiliate manager on behalf of a brand was left to grade their own homework by showing performance that they delivered in platform, but not side by side against other channels like paid search, display, et cetera. So at Pepperjam, we've taken a different approach to enable marketers to export their data to whatever their attribution system of record is, so that they have a more holistic view to understand how affiliate compares to that of paid search or other channels, and really get a true holistic view of the value that the channel provides across all facets of the consumer journey, and ultimately across their entire unit economics of their business.
Yeah, and I think Maura is spot on with everything she just said. I will say, again, I'm seeing brands think about it more and more holistically over the years, and there definitely has been an acceleration with the pandemic. But I think the challenge is there's no current attribution model that allows content through publishers to be, or affiliate through publishers, to be measured kind of apples to apples to the rest of your media mix. And I think when you look at it from a click-through rate perspective, or the value of the impression, as Maura said, it significantly outperforms. It's just there's no kind of modeling currently in place for most of our partners to do that at scale, or to do it consistently across all the publisher partners that they have. Where I've seen it work really well is for certain partners, depending on the nature of the partnership, there is the ability to potentially do things like pixel the page in order to feed into attribution models that might live on the publishers or on the retailer side. Obviously, that's still fairly broken in the sense that the publisher can't necessarily optimize on that information because we don't have access to it in real time. Or we have other partners, and I see kind of D2C players do this really well because they are so immersed in the performance marketing space, and they effectively mainly buy directly on Facebook, and they find that doing the same thing on Facebook through a publisher's lens actually has higher efficiency. So oftentimes we leverage tools like Google Analytics or Facebook conversion data in order to really get a sense of what that full kind of funnel impact looks like. What that doesn't account for is, again, things like brand awareness and brand sentiment. But I think we're starting to bring the two worlds together. There's a lot of work to be done. I think it's pretty spotty which brands are thinking about it in the right way, but I think we do need some sort of kind of industry consistency in order for it to really become something that many players can lean into.
Well, we could probably talk about attribution for an entire webinar and more, but we need to move on to some other topics. One of the things I want to bring up is, Maura talked about the growth of content marketing, but there's still a lot of revenue coming through coupons and cashback sites. And there was a question that came in about, do you think the rise in content, is it short term? Just because due to COVID and it being an election year, there's a lot to talk about. And is it possible that this trend may recede a little bit as we, move away from some of these things? So I want to kind of go back to Adriana and Kelley And, maybe you could, help us, understand your point of view on, where do you think this, this balance is going, and just, what role does cashback and coupon sites have in your business right now? And Adriana, do you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'd say for us, certainly we've all seen an acceleration of a number of different things this year. For us, we had actually started to see the rise of content prior to COVID. So, I do think that there was an acceleration of it, but we were already starting to spend some time focusing on it and trying to figure it out like everybody else. Coupon and deal is not going away. I mean, there's always a consumer. It's that wants a great deal, wants a value, wants to sort of the hunt for the coupon. It's why we also see our outlet business so successful. There is a value consumer who loves a coupon or a deal. So for us, I think we just have to embrace that. But we also know, and I think it depends on every brand. So I suppose it depends on who asked the question. But, for us, there's parts of our business who we do want to continue to drive full price premium goods that we don't want to apply discounts to. And so it's a balance of finding partners who can help us achieve and do that, while also still paying attention to and working with the coupon and deal publishers that are so important to us. I also think as we continue in time, we've seen publishers who really sort of blur the lines between one publisher type and another. My guess is Maura's slide with the different groups will start to really morph and change over time. We've seen, some of our traditional coupon and deal publishers start to try to add content in because they do see the value of it. And I think we'll continue to see more and more of that.
And any thoughts on kind of, this idea that, it's just a crazy year and content is not going to be as important next year?
I will say, Scott, I definitely think for us, even though it's absolutely a crazy year, so you've got that right. And I think we've all witnessed that and recognized it. But I do think that the opportunity and the rise of content marketing is here to stay. I think it is that balance. As Adriana said, we really are looking. We also partner with Pepperjam. And so they've been extremely flexible and strategic with us as we try to think about the right publishers for our needs. So really looking at what were, recommendations around the activation, the revenue goals for us. But on the flip side, for us with the content marketing, we really leaned into our influencers. And that is such a big piece of that connection. And when you think about what is going to transcend beyond just COVID, it's those emotional connections that you used to have when you used to meet people in person. And now you can't do that. So where are we able to bridge those gaps? And I think that opportunity comes into play with our influencers. These are people that, will recommend the best school supplies for you or have the best pillow that you can sleep for days on that you want to. So obviously when we go to them and they recommend, hey, this amazing product from Tarte, it really is that authenticity. And I think regardless of that connection's already been established. And it's that balance of us coming in as a partner with that influencer where they're already trusted. And so it's that connection. And I think that's going to transcend beyond just this year.
So yeah, you mentioned influencers, and I wanted to kind of dig into that a little bit. What I hear constantly is influencers are amazing, but such a hard channel to scale. It's a long tail. And it's just really challenging to give each one the TLC they deserve to enable them to grow. So I don't know, kind of go back to you, Adriana, your thoughts on, how you're thinking about influencers, if you feel like you've been making progress in scaling that channel, if you think it has more potential, or, what do you think is going to happen there?
Yeah, for us, we've looked at influencers from both the brand and consumer marketing side as well as affiliates, and I think that just like our publishers, they're not a one size fits all, and we've had to do a lot of testing, to be honest. I think that we've had to look at a lot of different influencers and really sort of figure out what works for our brand and where we do see either the traffic drivers or those that create some sales for us. For Clark's, we found that it's actually some of the more micro or small influencers that have really great engagement. So to Kelley's point, some influencers have really been able to create that trust with their following and, sort of a number of different things they recommend, consumers really gravitate towards. So whether that's creating a new email sign up because they came through to our site or they actually made a purchase, we really try and track all of the activity from those influencers. And we're also really balancing between, like I said, we use influencers on both the brand and the performance marketing side. So really trying to make sure our teams are talking together to balance both the KPIs and what we're measuring against, but also trying to give each other some breathing room and space to sort of each be, achieving our own goals.
And any other anything anybody wants to add? Kelley?
Yeah, Scott, I'll say this just really quickly. We definitely have taken into account with our influencers kind of that idea around, like you said, it isn't, to Adriana's point, that one size fits all. So what we've done is really partnered with some unique ones on some specialty bundles of products. So there might be, for example, we have our Shape Tape, which is the, number one selling concealer brand. And so a lot of our influencers just love that in general. They always have. And some of them actually have come to us and said, hey, listen, I'd like to partner with you, Tarte, on making a unique bundle that sits there. And so we will partner together between, say, that Pinnacle product, like a Shape Tape, and then add into some newer products of ours to be able to complement that. And that helps in a couple of ways. It gives kind of that uniqueness to that influencer where it's something that they have and it's just specific to their client base. And then at the same point, it's also something where we're able to uniquely measure into, kind of the impact and effectiveness of a unique bundle, so that we can maybe, determine something else for another influencer in the future.
And one thing I can add, which might be odd coming from a publisher, is we definitely see the value of influencers, given it does create that kind of sense of personality or emotional connection that Kelley was speaking to. So we actually have what we call a creator program, where it's effectively Buzzfeed influencers that are tapped into our network. And what we think that helps to enable is solving that problem of scale. Because again, I think the kind of long tail benefit of influencer marketing is obviously there, and that's why so many brands are leaning into it. But we kind of operate as a platform to some extent, given we have this massive audience who's demonstrating high intent. We have huge social following. We have people reading BuzzFeed content in the billions. So for us to be able to leverage that platform to amplify more of this kind of personality-driven content, we think there's a lot of potential there. And I think other publishers obviously are playing in the space as well. So exactly as Adriana said, I think there's going to start to be this like convergence of who a publisher is, what their job is. And I think that's going to also pertain to the difference between a publisher and an influencer and how they could potentially kind of grow together as content marketing becomes a bigger and bigger space.
So, it wouldn't be fair to talk about influencers without mentioning TikTok, kind of the big, new player on the stage right now. So, Kelley, I know Tarte has had some experience with TikTok, so maybe you could share, what you've done and what you've learned from that so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I think definitely it's one of those where it's been a unique opportunity for us to engage with a Gen Z and really that younger consumer that continues to want to, have that adoration and, connection in special ways. I think what we've done in terms of our testing on the platform and what we found is at the end of the day, we're still able to see a rise in terms of just that engagement on TikTok. I think where it really is changing, and I think the opportunity still sits there, is that platform does need to find a way to generate revenue. I think at the end of the day for us, it's going to be kind of coming up with what that advertising model looks like on TikTok, because I think eventually without it driving those sales, it really is going to be a place where brands may eventually stop investing on the platform. You're obviously there. You need to be there. I think in some sense, it's especially in our beauty space, because that's where our customers are. But I think it's going to be that balance long term to try to figure out how they can monetize it and what will happen next with it.
And are you finding that the TikTokers are in your affiliate programs or not yet?
Some of them are. I wouldn't say it's, a large proliferation of our affiliate program, but it definitely is making some headway.
And Maura, are you seeing anything with any of your other clients that have been successful in leveraging TikTok? I mean, what I'm generally hearing is that it's great at creating views, but conversion is lagging behind.
Sure. Yeah, we've definitely seen increases in social media publisher types signing up to Pepperjam's Ascend platform, as you saw in the presentation. I think that the TikTok platform needs to continue to mature to offer ways in which influencers can start to use it as a vehicle to drive revenue for their own benefit. So I would say it's still early, but it's not that success has not been had. And in particular, when it comes to social media, you have to think about the connectivity in tying, an impression on social media or a view with the conversion, because that's how affiliate is typically measured, as we've heard. And so there have been some instances where publishers have been successful in bridging that gap by way of the use of code tracking. So advertising a code, and then, any conversions associated with that code are attributed to that post. But I think as the platform continues to evolve, we'll see it, mature and occupy, a greater share in affiliate.
By the way, there was a comment or a question came in. Someone's just saying they're a marketer. They'd be interested in connecting with other marketers. I mean, this is the most questions we've had on one of our webinars. So we do have a platform called Givitas, and we can send a link to all the marketers on the call if you want to engage there and post some questions and have folks answer that. So just and also on this issue of attribution, we have a whole theme during our marketing summit series called Geeking Out on Attribution and Data. So stay tuned for that in early 2021. So I'm trying to get to some of these questions, or some of the ones that we had planned, and trying to incorporate some of those that came in from the audience. Thank you for all of these great questions. I don't think we'll be able to get to all of them, but I know Steve Katz has been answering a lot of them as well. But I do want to make sure we talk about kind of more broadly about, kind of how you're managing these programs internally, the way that you're building your teams and the skill sets, the role for PR that needs to play in terms of content marketing. So Adriana, could you talk a little bit about, as you, assuming you're expecting content marketing to grow as a channel for you, how does this impact the resources that you're putting against it? Are there some new skill sets that you think are important to have on your team? And sorry for the multiple questions in a question here. I'm notorious for that. But what about, and then the PR team? Like, what's their role in this?
Sure. So I'm going to try and make sure I hit all of your questions, but if I don't, forgive me. I'd say our team hasn't grown, but we've found that the skill set that they have and the way that they plan, whether it's email programming or social media, for us, it's the same sort of planning that's made us successful. As Kelley said earlier, certainly everyone's plans got, flipped upside down this year, but being proactive with our publishers where we've seen success and making sure that we are continuing to talk to them, especially in our space, it's trying to think about what's upcoming, what are the seasonal moments that are important, or what, everyone's wearing comfortable shoes. Let's forget about the boots I was going to talk about today, but let's, throw up slippers or other things, and trying as best we can to plan that out and make sure that whether it's through a network partner like Pepperjam, or whether your own team manages it, trying to make sure that you're constantly having that conversation with your content partners to make sure they have the information. So whether it's paid or organic, we've actually seen some great organic content opportunities too because of our forward planning. So for us, no, our team hasn't grown, but we've been able to rely on Pepperjam as the extension of our team. And like I said, that same calendar planning and thought process as we use in some of the other marketing channels has really helped us. On the PR side, I will say that because we're small, I always say we're lean and mean. internally at Clark's that we do really work very closely between our media and PR team, as well as performance marketing, where affiliate sits for us. So those teams have to be talking together and working together. Usually we're picking different partners, but we really do have to make sure we're talking to make sure that there isn't any double dipping.
And Kelley, anything you want to add?
Yeah, same thing. I definitely have to say it is similar, lean and mean, and really kind of diving in. And I think where we have that uniqueness in it being the opportunity for us to be, lean, is that we're nimble. That opportunity to be able to shift and to bring in, we have everyone at the table. And I think in some traditional methods, you've had kind of the PR team or people that are working traditionally on, let's say, retail or store marketing versus your digital marketing team. And those lines, those kind of barriers are down for us. We're really having, whether it's a promotion that we're doing or a new product launch, it's a very consistent message and tone across that. So you hear that Tarte voice. It's just unique for that particular channel, whether it's our PR team pitching to publishers or it's our email team on how they're sending it out or how we're posting on organic or paid social. So just definitely hitting the audience where they are, but really kind of having that consistent tone so that they're able to kind of see that consistent thread across our content.
All right. Well, we are at the top of the hour. We need to wrap up, but I want to just have everyone answer real quickly one piece of advice you have for the audience as they think about their content marketing in 2021. Nilla, want to go first?
I would definitely say find the publishers or even influencers who best align with the target audience you're looking to get in front of, or that's endemic to your category. I think content, the challenge is there is no one size fits all. So I think depending on the stage of your business, what you're looking to achieve in your KPIs, different content publishers will serve a different purpose. So definitely be mindful in who you work with and where you're expecting performance. And then I think the biggest kind of talking point I always have is like, make sure you're leveraging data in the right way. I think when you're like looking at content marketing, both from a content perspective and also on the advertiser side, you really have to understand the data and unpack it and understand how it's driving value for your business. So if you have the flexibility to do so, definitely invest in resources or headcount who knows how to make sense of data in a meaningful way.
Adriana?
I would say keep testing. I mean, it's what's worked for us. I know it sounds simple, but keep testing and trying to find what works, because we didn't nail it on the head the first time, but I think we've continued to partner together with Pepperjam and our publishers and influencers, and we found a couple things that work for us.
Great. And Kelley?
Yeah, same. Set your goals, but be curious, be open to some new ideas, be able to test. If that test doesn't work, fail fast, pick it up and try something else. So that's mine.
All right. And Maura, we'll give you the final word and then we'll wrap up.
So selfishly, I'm going to plug affiliate content partners as a recommendation for 2021. And the reason is not because, I represent Pepperjam, but it's because I think that the COVID trend is going to continue into 2021 for some period of time, and consumers are going to continue to spend time online. And if you can engage them with compelling content, whether it's content you've created or by way of your publisher partners, it's a great way to keep engagement amongst your target audience.
All right. Well, thank you all for a really engaging discussion. Really appreciate it. We will be back on December 9th for our Cyber Monday recap. So be on the lookout for more information about that. And we then have our Marketing Summit series in January. So please be on the lookout for that. Thank you again for being a part of this. Nilla, Kelley, Adriana, Maura, great conversation today. And best wishes for the rest of your holiday season and fall. So hope to see you all soon.
Thank you so much.